Welcome to Buski PM Laboratory. Laboratory Buski PM is a reference laboratory of fish quarantine, quality control, and safety of fishery product services, which accredited with SNE ISO IEC 17025 2008 and ISO 9001 2008. Our lab has standard procedures in occupational health and safety regulation in every aspect. To support working productivity, health and safety become our major priority in Buski PM Laboratory. The implementation of safety procedures are not only for laboratory assistants. We also suggest the guests to follow the regulation during lab activity. Working in laboratory, always dealing with various hazards which contain chemicals, microorganisms, the environment, and even the equipment itself. Due to the risk and threats, therefore, the lab assistant and guests must understand and obey the policy while in Buski PM Laboratory. Before enter the Buski PM Laboratory, workers and guests are expected to follow the policy. Leave footwear before enter the anteroom. Remove all jewelry before enter the lab and leave it in the locker that has been provided. Wash hands in the anteroom before enter the lab. Workers and guests must wear appropriate footwear which has been provided. Wearing laboratory coat is a must during lab activity as a personal protective equipment. Lab coat should be neatly buttoned. For women with hijab, put the hijab under the lab coat. Do not forget to use appropriate work equipment, for instance, mask, gloves, and head cover. For women, long hair should be tied back to avoid injury. Use proper eye protection when appropriate. Occupational health and safety regulation are the most important instrument to protect workers from the working hazards. Laboratory assistant and guests are expected to follow the regulation while in the laboratory. Eating, drinking, smoking, and sleeping are prohibited during lab activity. Lab assistant must identify chemicals' character before using the substances. Lab assistants also must know how to operate laboratory machinery and follow the procedures. Occupational health and safety regulations prohibits the pipetting of substances by mouth. Reusing needles and microtips are prohibited. Disposable needles and microtips should be placed into clinical waste bin, which are specifically marked for such. Use safety and right equipment. For example, fume hood. Fume hoods protect from hazardous exposure to airborne contaminants. Use biological safety cabinet while working with biological infectious substance. Do not compound strong acid with organic chemicals, which will cause inflammable. Maintain laboratory equipment in a proper way after used. Then store at specified places. Incompatible and hazardous wastes must be segregated and stored in a specific waste bin containers. Microbiological waste such as foam, agarose gel, and other microorganisms need to be sterilized using autoclave before disposal. Buski PM liquid waste are collected to be sent and processed by PPLE in Cibinong. Incinerate solid waste such as media test, tubes, needles, and microtip. First aid equipment must be provided in the laboratory. Some of working hazards that needs to be prevented and how to overcome. Sharp injuries by working equipment. Wash the wound immediately after injured. In the event of chemical or biological spills on skin, thoroughly wash the affected area with water. For eye injuries caused by chemicals or biological spills, flush the eye with eye washer. If come into contact with or infected by poisonous chemical, should obtain medical treatment. Other incidents such as slips, struck down, or electrical faults should obtain appropriate first aid immediately from the health services. In an emergency, leave the building carefully to the external stairway or the nearest emergency exit. Some of serious working hazards needs further medical treatment by doctor after obtain the first aid treatment. Remove gloves, mask, and head cover before leaving the lab and placed into clinical waste bin which are specifically marked for such. The laboratory coat should be removed in storage area for laboratory clothing, as well as the lab shoes. Clean laboratory equipment are provided every day to maintain hygiene of healthy workplace. Wash hands before leaving the laboratory to prevent contaminated. Do not forget to wear your shoes back before leaving BUS-KPM laboratory. Providing occupational health and safety for our laboratory worker is our priority. The application of procedures is to inactive the lab assistant and the guests in a secure and safety place while working in BUS-KPM laboratory. Therefore, maximum productivity will be achieved when occupational health and safety has been done in the first place. Thank you for visiting BUS-KPM laboratory and participate maintaining quality, hygiene, and safety during in BUS-KPM laboratory.